Hey guys, Vol here again. Let's take a look back at the second round of the INZO 2018 Infinity Tournament. So, playing Imperial Service, we've managed to win the first round, the 4 rounds to go. This is round 2, and it'll be up against a combined army on the old Power Pack mission, which you've seen a couple of times before on my channel. And we've got the very colourful and flavorful terrain set from Galen, who's from Hamilton, mostly using pieces from the Battle Kiwi terrain setup. And so my opponent is running an avatar for this one, and he's going to be using the Cascuda model from the old X-Ra range, and has won the dice roll for first turn. Not difficult when you have an avatar with willpower 17. And he's decided to go first, and the reason why he's deciding to go first is that it's a really good way of getting his Speculo into position to destroy anything on the opposing side that has MSV2. But let's just take a little overview look at the battlefield. So we're gonna have the combined army over this side, and we're gonna have Imperial Service over this side here. Deployment zones, I believe, are a little bit bigger in Power Pack, but let's just draw a line down here. So this side is my deployment zone here. This side is effectively his deployment zone over here. We've got the 3 consoles throughout the middle, and you can get a whole wad of points by pressing the buttons on those and having them captured by the end of the game. But you can also get even more points by leaving your data tracker next to the console that's on your opponent's side of the table. So he's going to be wanting to move his avatar over here by the end, the data tracker, and capturing that. Whereas my crane, who's featured down here somewhere, is going to be trying to move over here to this spot and actually pick up his one. My ninja is located right in the center of the table to do some button pressing right at the end of the game. So this is my picture of hidden deployment there. Going through it, so me having to deploy a lot of troopers here, of course, Strategos level 3 means that I don't get any reserves, whereas he gets 2 reserve models. So the Link team setting up on the left, setting up with obviously this guy here, which is the control device, plus a bunch of extra Guangxi hanging out, forming a link with them. We've got the Sophatect as well. This is a Guangxi from Group 1 as well, their war core there too. So that's the left-hand flank. Bear in mind that the deployment zones are split into these big squares. So I guess if we look back at this, a more accurate depiction of deployment zones would be this, like here, and this here. That's you've got one deployment zone here for Imperial Service, another one here for Imperial Service, and then combined has basically got 2 spots over here. So these squares, if you can picture that. In the middle, obviously, the HVT can be a lot closer to your side of the table because it's just 4 inches or beyond outside of your deployment zone, and because the deployment zone doesn't take up the center of the table, that's what happens. On the right, I've got my main link team here formed with the data tracker crane. Not a link team at the moment, of course, because the fire team is being used by the guys on the other side, the other Guangxi group. Lieutenant here. We've got the sniper rifle here. She's covering off a very long angle diagonally through the middle of the table, just in case this Krakot Renegade decides to move past it. And the hacker here, we've got the Rushi set up at back, Sensorbot, and a couple more extra Guangxis, and of course the Yudbot from the Sophatec there to revive either the multi-sniper rifle Celestial Guard or the crane. So that's about it for my deployment. You can see the massive avatar hanging out here, afraid of nothing really. He's got first turn, he's going to be able to wipe out Marushi, then he's just going to be able to walk out uncontested. We've got the Krakot Renegade with submachine gun. Once he moves past this spot though, there is a very long line through the middle of the table where my multi-sniper rifle will be able to see through, so he's got that to deal with. This is actually a Teo camo marker, a Malignos Fort Observer. There's a Fort Observing Unidron as well, will be a very good backup for the avatar. Ikadron away at the back here behind him. There's the HVT for Combined Army in the center as well. He's managed to drop down with a Unidron and Imatron, and this is HVT there, Avatar right on the right, and a little R drone on the other side, plus another Ikadron, and he'll have a Noctifer as well, just ready to move up top here, past this, up above this ladder. So, impersonation marker appearing right next to the Rushi. This guy's just going to be wanting to move through and hit me with a combi rifle fairly shortly. Crackot Renegade moving through the middle of the table, but deciding not to move past this big long line of fire. So Burst Nation Marquis is deciding to borrow one of my silhouettes to represent that. This is from my own case, as you guys have seen, and does have a go at attacking the Rushi, and quite successfully, of course. Combi rifle at close range with surprise attack, and Rushi is going to be left devastated. Now he does see that I've got a Yudbot nearby, so he just keeps shooting it until it dies. Then you've got the old Noctifer, which started back here, and because this is a type of mission where you got 16 inches up, so you can get onto this building here, and then you can climb up on top of this. This, unfortunately, is a tower which basically has a dominating view of the entire table, so that is really not very nice to have a Noctifer up there. As you can see, just a view of pretty much everything. One thing that is quite bad about this is that there's a building over here where I've set up my Celestial Guard team. And one of the things that sometimes annoys me a little bit about Infinity is that some of these terrain pieces are designed to make you safe when you're prone, but if you set out the table in a certain way, there are some, types of elevation that allow you to see right to the backs of certain bases. So technically, you can just move over here and see the backs of the bases of models that are prone and meant to be in total cover, which kind of makes things rather yuck. So Speculo is now dispatched of the Rushi and just pulled back here behind cover. You've got the Noctifer hanging out on top of this massive tower. Cannot believe this tower. Oh, just taking my photo out. So there's the tower there. He's able to see like through the entire table basically, and what he does is he reveals and fires a missile down towards my lieutenant, which is really ugly. Lieutenant luckily is managing to dodge, closer to a point of the railing here where he will get total cover. But the crane is clipped by the missile in the meantime. Fortunately manages to pass a couple of armor saves, but that's really awful. So you can sort of see in better position here the Noctifer, able to see down on top of the building where the Celestial Guards are, and really caused a lot of trouble. So you can see just the back of the base of the Lieutenant when he was here. He's trying to dodge over to this spot here, and just get his ass into that spot there where luckily he'll be free from the missile, and I was very lucky to avoid just a complete devastation here. Crane takes a wound, Celestial Guard dives into cover, and we're able to maintain the link later on. So with the Rushi destroyed, the Avatar moves out into the center of the table, just setting up shop here. As you can see, between the Avatar and the Noctifer, basically he's moved up through here. He's going to have a view of all the way around my deployment zone. So the Celestial Guards are on this side, and the other group of Quangshi are over this side. And it's just not going to be very nice. Elsewhere, he's moving his Malignos along just to get into a better position for later, maybe popping a mine, and Avatar just hanging out on the rooftops. And there he is, just placing a mine next to where he knows that my Quangshi are going to be moving with their impetuous moves. And he's hoping to clip a couple of them with that mine. So after thinking quite carefully for a bit, I realized that the only play that I can make is with the link team reformed here. I've got the Quangshi control device with smoke grenade launcher, able to move up just next to cover here and throw down a smoke grenade template that's going to cover this region. And that's going to allow me to move with the crane rank and lieutenant down the stairs through here and just evacuate everybody and just get everybody to a safer position behind total cover and just stall it out into the end of the game where I might be able to press a few buttons and come into the lead. So in the process of this, everybody's escaping down the stairs, moving out of the way. And moving right back over to here where he's got his Speculo killer camped out. The crane, unfortunately, not managing to reveal him, but I sub in one of the Celestial Guard team instead, and they managed to complete the discover and eventually, revealing him and destroying him. Elsewhere, Quangshi moves in to basically dodge the mine or sacrifice himself to the mine and hit this guy with a chain rifle if he reveals. He eventually does, and the Quangshi miraculously passing the armor save, so moving in and going for the, I think, coup de grace here against the Malignos, which is a nice turn of events there. I had spent a number of orders this turn restraining impetuous moves from Quangshi, because as you can see, they're just going to get hit by missiles, and it's not going to go very well, but just generally trying to keep them towards the back of this building on the left-hand flank. Okay, I believe it's my opponent's turn 2, and he's continuing to move around with a Krakow, but again, just can't get in line of sight because I've still kept my sniper rifle basically guiding its way through this little long fire lane through the middle of the table. So That is at least one thing going well. The Avatar, though, jumping down from his building, takes a little bit of a hit from the fall, but he's so heavily armored that, you know, strength and damage 10 is not going to scratch him. And then he's going to try and move out and get some things done. So he's basically come down here, and he's planning on coming around over to here and getting up in this building eventually. And while he's there, just chewing through a few of my troops, like the Guangxi and maybe one or two of the Celestial Guards. So as he comes around here, you can sort of see the big old meanie moving around past this objective room, and he's going to run straight into these two Guangxi over here, possibly my multi-sniper rifle Celestial Guard. As he does so, just going into some shootouts, not much I can do. He's got ODD, Ballistical 15, Armor 9, so really everybody's just trying to dodge into total cover wherever they can. Eventually makes it closer to where the objective is, but he's not going to hang out there, because if he just remains there, then I fire a smoke grenade and get into close combat with him with the crane. So luckily for me, I managed to complete a smoke dodge with my link team here, landing the smoke here instead of getting hit by the blast, so that does keep them alive and intact for a while. Note that I do have a Celestial Guard hacker here, so he can't really come in range without being hit by Gotcha. He is immune to possession, but if his run gets slowed down too much by immobilization, then he could lose his avatar later. What he does here is he's quite smart. He decides to put his avatar onto the roof by jumping up there. Makes it harder for me to get in close combat with him. There was a point in this game where I felt like one of the plays that I could have made is to fire a smoke grenade directly underneath his position, and then move the crane to this specific spot here, climb up the roof, be standing exactly next to the wall, and then move into close combat with him on the edge there and just fight him, because the crane is going to most likely beat the avatar in the long run. The problem is, though, that I just felt a little bit unsure of myself, and I can't really explain this too well, but I felt like if I did that, there might be some issue with the rules. I wasn't sure whether the smoke template would completely keep him covered if he stayed on the edge of this building, and in base-to-base with the avatar. Talking to a couple of people at the tournament afterwards, the consensus was that it would have been possible. I could have actually sent the crane all the way over here, through the smoke after I placed it down, and it just climbed up, and because the smoke's location emanates from this point on the ground, it basically reaches anything within that cylinder of the smoke template that is also in line of sight of that bottom middle point. And because the crane would have been in range of that, then the smoke would have prevailed. So that's really the play that I should have made. Elsewhere, we've got a bit of an encounter between the Krakot and the Guangxi, just having at each other, the Guangxi trying to trade himself for him. Other Guangxi moving around, some of them getting shot at by an Octava missile launcher and having to dodge. We have got the Extreme Prejudice card down here because I did manage to nail his Malignos with that. Guangxi goes into trade with the Krakot successfully. And elsewhere here, I'm going to be landing a Garuda. So instead of moving out with the crane, Garuda picks up control jump, flies down here from the skies, not from this road, of course, but he lands in the template, and his move is going to be to come out here and fire a few shots at the Echidron on the back line, trying to remove orders from Combined Army, and then moving back this way to take out his Unidron, because if I do that, having removed the Unidron and the Malignos, he'll have nothing to press the buttons with, and that'll allow me to get the win. Unfortunately, though, Noctifer shooting at long range at the Garuda gives me only one shot at this, so as I move around past, going for the shot at his Unidron way through here, I'm having to get shot at by the Noctifer as this happens, and unfortunately Garuda is destroyed. Unidron not destroyed, unfortunately, because I couldn't kill him with my combi rifle. So I felt like I may have played this a little bit poorly. Maybe I could have found a better spot for the Unidron to land in, or I could have just moved out with the crane instead to take out the Avatar that particular turn, but that didn't happen. Elsewhere, I managed to get some smoke down with a speculative fire, or whatever you call it. Pew! Smoke covering this area where the Noctifer was. This is allowing the Sophitek to move down the stairs and come up over here, using, I think, a cautious move as she does so to get through this little avenue. And that's going to position her for my last turn where I can move around further and actually get into the button and press it to give me that. So she's just tucking herself away in the corner here. What's going to be happening, obviously the Avatar looking out for her, and the Noctifer from this building over here, covering a lot of lanes, but he's going to be moving his Unidron over through here to the console, and I might be able to counter him by coming around here with the Sophitek later to take it back off of him. and other people just going into suppression fire because really low on time. Our tournament organizer kept coming over to us and saying, hey, look, you know, this amount of time left, and I felt like both of our turns were taking too long because we're taking a lot of time to think, so I chucked a couple of people in suppression fire and we just moved on. So end of turn. The combined army have their final turn. Avatar just stepping down from the building, going for a little bit more in the way of shooting. So moving through here and managing to kill my my Celestial Guard with a smoke grenade launcher. Really, I should have just moved him somewhere a bit safer. So this didn't eventuate in me surviving. The Avatar does get the kill here. Coordinated order with the Unitron and Echidron moving out. And they're going to be heading towards this particular objective. Some shots traded between this Guangxi and the Unitron, but he does manage to press the button in the end. Which I found quite surprising. He actually took a couple of shots before he even completed the button press. I would have tried to get into a point where, you know, he couldn't be seen. Echidron also moving around here to contest our friendly Sophitect, but I can't quite remember what happened in this interaction. I think he might have got killed by some AROs around here. So in my final turn, I'm linking up these Guangxi over this side, A, to avoid the arrows from the Noctifer, but B, to try and move them around, kill the Unitron, and get the Sophitect in there. Unfortunately, though, I think the Guangxi takes a crit or something like that against the Plasma Carbine and gets destroyed. Seeing that I'm losing pretty badly here and have very few options left, the Crane's moving around to try and fire at the Avatar. I've got, you know, half a dozen orders with which to do this. The Crane's shooting at +3 to hit from range, -6 from ODD, so 4 dice on 10s, whereas the Avatar's firing back 1 dice on 15. So it's possible that if I have some good rolling, he could actually kill the Avatar, and that would win me the game too. But unfortunately, the Avatar wipes him out first go. I attempt to use the other Celestial Guards to maybe try and get a fish for some crits, but they also get wiped out, so no luck there. We've got a Celestial Guard standing up to try and get some smoke grenades down. The plan is to attempt to throw a smoke grenade next to the objective and then have the ninja move over to the objective, and because he doesn't count as controlling it if only you know, if there are two models from either side touching it, the ninja should be able to actually prevent him from getting the points out of this. So that's what happens, firing the smoke down right next to the objective. The ninja appears. It started in this location here, moving over here with a short skill, then moving here with another short skill, getting discovered in the process. All it has to do to avoid being destroyed at this point is to dodge the Sepsitor from the Avatar, and at the same time not die to the Noctifer and the Flash Pulse, which are also going to try and shoot it. So with Tio Camo and Physical 12, dodging seemed to be a reasonable prospect. I think I could have got away with that, but sadly failed the dodge, didn't get hit by the Noctifer. The Flash Pulse is not going to matter for the purposes of this action, and the Sepsitor actually does take out the ninja here, so that play was ineffectual by the time I got here. So unfortunately, this play didn't work. I had a reasonable chance of pulling it off, but didn't get the dice. So it just comes down to the Sophitect moving around the side here to get into a shootout with the old Unitron. Neither of us managing to get kills here, so as the Sophitect moves closer, I'm just trying to get myself into a position where I can just expend her to do a single move, try and pass a whip check on a 15 to take the objective back, but by the time we get there, failing that as well. So she gets onto the objective, tries to roll the whip check, nah, can't even roll a 15 or less, so I can't even take back that objective, which would have actually scored me 4 objective points rather than leaving him to score the 4. Yeah, so end of game, as you can see, Celestial Guard's just trying to shoot at the Avatar, but really all fell apart by the end. I made a dedicated attempt to take the console back with the ninja, didn't get the dice. Sophitect had a realistic chance of passing a 15 or less on one whip check, didn't pass that as well. If I'd managed to succeed in both of those plays, this would have been a pretty significant win to me. Having said that, though, my opponent played well during the game to make it really hard. I liked the strategy of destroying the Rushi. I loved the strategy of moving out with those big arrow pieces in the middle of the table, knowing that I didn't have a lot to challenge him with. I made a mistake in deciding not to go after the Avatar in close combat, even though I could have achieved that in my second turn. So this loss is definitely on me. I lost fair and square, but I don't think I played badly. I actually played pretty well during this game, and I did come up with a reasonable enough game plan towards the end to secure the win, but dice just fell through and couldn't even really achieve that. So pretty sad. Means that I go into the second game with a loss. It will be very hard to pull out a win in this tournament despite that, but as we've seen before, it's very possible to win ITS tournaments. Having dropped a game just means that I have to really do well in the other rounds. After playing this, though, we also encountered a situation where a couple of other peoples who were in the top of the tables also got draws. So that further increased my chances of coming back. So we'll see what happens in the next 3 games. Stay tuned for those. I'll post them over the next few days.